All right, so we've got a whole stack of stuff here about crane and rigging safety.
Yeah, manuals, guides.
Specs, all the whole works.
Yeah.
And this deep dive is really all about, yeah, pulling out those safety gold nuggets.
Mm-hmm.
Think of it as like a crash course on, how to build that bulletproof safety culture.
Right.
Why those training standards, they really do matter.
Mm-hmm.
And how to make sure that your operations are just getting safer and safer all the time.
One thing that I find interesting here is that all these sources, they really emphasize that safety isn't just about checking off boxes, right?
Right.
It's about creating a culture where everyone, from the operators to the inspectors, they're genuinely invested in it.
Yeah, it's like building a house, right? You need that solid foundation before you even think about putting up the walls.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
It's about shifting from that reactive mindset to a proactive one, where you're constantly thinking about what could go wrong and how to prevent it.
So it's not just about, reacting to a near miss.
Right.
It's about preventing it from happening in the first place.
Absolutely.
And that's where those training standards come in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing a lot of references here to ASME B30.9.
Yeah.
Which, just so everybody knows, is the American Society of Mechanical Engineers standard specifically for cranes and rigging, plus all those OSHA regulations.
Oh, yeah.
It's a lot to keep track of.
Yeah, it can definitely seem overwhelming.
Yeah.
But these standards are essentially like a roadmap, They're built on years of experience.
Yeah.
Sometimes hard-won lessons, unfortunately, from past accidents. But, take ASME B30.9, for example, right?
Okay.
It lays out the requirements for things like how to inspect your slings, to calculate your load limits, even how to use those corner max pads to protect your slings from those sharp edges.
Right. Those details might seem small, but they can have a big impact.
Huge.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So speaking of slings, there's a whole world of slings out there.
Oh, yeah.
We got twin path slings, round slings, web slings, wire rope slings.
Yeah, so many options.
It's enough to make your head spin.
Mm-hmm.
What's the deal with all these different types?
Well, each type has its own advantages and limitations, right?
Okay.
It's all about choosing the right tool for the job.
Right.
Considering things like your load capacity, the flexibility, the specific work environment. For example, like those twin path slings you mentioned.
Yeah.
They're known for being very versatile, right? They can actually fit into spaces half their width without sacrificing any of their strength.
Really?
Which is crucial in those tight spots.
Yeah, that's super handy. And then there's that check fast inspection system.
Oh, yeah.
I was reading about that. It's like a built-in safety check for slings, right? You can instantly tell if those internal core yarns are damaged.
Right.
So no more second guessing.
Exactly.
It's a great example of how technology is kind of like enhancing our safety protocols.
It is.
Right.
It is.
By providing those clear objective criteria, it takes away some of that guesswork from inspections.
Absolutely.
So it's about making those inspections more reliable, more consistent.
Right.
And that ties into the idea of continuous improvement, right?
Yes.
It's not enough to just follow the rules. You've got to constantly be looking for ways to do things better and safer.
Totally agree. Yeah. Even with solid procedures in place, there's always room for improvement, right? It's about learning from experience, analyzing near misses, and refining those procedures to prevent those similar incidents from happening again.
It's like fine-tuning a race car, right?
Yeah.
You're always looking for that extra edge in performance. But in this case, the performance we're optimizing for is safety.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
And just like with a race car, regular maintenance is key. These sources really hammer home the importance of inspecting your equipment. Not just slings, but hooks, load binders, everything.
Right. You wouldn't drive a car without checking the brakes.
Absolutely not, no.
Absolutely not.
No.
So speaking of hooks, I noticed there's a whole section here dedicated to just using hooks properly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a hook, right? How hard can it be?
You'd be surprised.
Okay.
Turns out there's more to it than meets the eye.
Okay.
Like, for example, you want to avoid side-loading a hook, which puts uneven stress on it.
Okay.
And can lead to failure.
Right.
And then there's the wear and tear factor. A worn-out hook is a recipe for disaster.
Right. So even those seemingly simple tools, they have their hidden complexities.
Absolutely.
It's all about understanding the forces at play and how to use the equipment safely.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And these manuals also highlight the importance of using shims to properly align those machinery eye bolts.
Right.
It's another one of those seemingly small details that can have a big impact on load distribution and safety.
It seems like every little detail matters when it comes to crane and rigging operations.
Like it does.
It's like a giant puzzle where every piece needs to fit perfectly to ensure a safe and successful lift.
It really is, yeah. Yeah, it really is. And that brings us to another essential tool.
Okay.
Load binders.
Load binders?
Yeah, these things are like the unsung heroes of rigging, you know. But they can be dangerous if misused.
Yeah, the manuals are packed with warnings about those.
Oh, yeah.
Like, hey, this thing can seriously mess you up if you're not careful.
They're not kidding. The instructions go into detail about positioning the load binder correctly, operating the handle safely, making sure that handle is secured during transport.
Right. And of course, you always want to check for wear and tear.
Oh, yeah.
Load binder with bent parts, cracked threads, that's a big no-no.
Absolutely, yeah. And regular lubrication is crucial.
Well, lubrication, right.
Not only does it keep the tool functioning smoothly, it also makes it easier and safer to use.
Right.
Less force required means less chance of something going wrong.
Right. So we've covered slings, hooks, load binders. But what about the big guns? The lifting devices themselves? I see these sources mention, various types of cranes, hoists.
Yeah. And understanding the limitations of each type is crucial,
Right.
A small hand chain hoist might be perfect for lifting a few hundred pounds, but you wouldn't use it to try and move a multi-ton piece of machinery.
Right.
That's where those massive overhead cranes come in.
Right. And then there's this whole concept of like mechanical advantage that comes into play.
Oh, yeah.
Like with a ratchet type load binder, you can multiply your force by like a factor of 50.
It's incredible.
That's insane.
It's a powerful tool.
Yeah.
But it also means you need to be extra cautious.
Right.
A small amount of force on the handle can translate into massive tension on that chain.
So it's about respecting the power of those tools and using them with precision and control.
Absolutely.
And these sources go beyond just like the individual components.
Yeah.
They also delve into these like more complex rigging systems, like spreader beams, lifting frames.
Right. These are specialized tools used for multi-point lifts.
Okay.
Especially when you're working with limited headroom. They distribute the weight across multiple lifting points, ensuring stability, preventing the load from tipping or swaying.
It's like building a custom cradle for those like awkwardly shaped loads.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm picturing a giant piano being carefully lifted into a high-rise apartment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating to see the engineering that goes into these systems. They're often modular with interchangeable components, allowing you to configure them for a wide range of lifting scenarios.
It's like a giant erector set for rigging professionals.
It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, we can't talk about rigging without mentioning wire rope.
Oh, yeah.
These sources go deep on proper termination techniques, especially when it comes to those wire rope clips.
Those Crosby clips are like the gold standard in the industry.
Yeah, Crosby clips. Okay.
They're known for their reliability and strength. But just like everything else in rigging, there's a right way and a wrong way to use them.
Right.
The manuals are super specific about the number of clips needed, the torque specifications, even the orientation of that U-bolt.
Wow.
It's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
But those details are crucial for ensuring a secure connection.
Right.
You're literally clamping those wire ropes together under immense tension. So every aspect of that installation matters.
And there are different types of thimbles and sockets for creating secure loops and eyes in the wire rope.
Right. And the manuals emphasize visual inspection after swaging.
Okay. Swaging, all right.
That's the process of permanently attaching a fitting to the wire rope.
Got it.
You want to make sure the socket has been properly deformed around the wire rope.
Okay.
A good swage will result in a smooth, uniform shank diameter.
So it's not just about cranking down on that swaging tool.
No.
It's about understanding the mechanics of the process and inspecting the results.
Absolutely.
And speaking of inspections, these sources provide guidelines for how often to inspect your rigging equipment.
Right. For slings, the general rule is to inspect them before each use.
Okay.
And then do a more thorough, documented inspection at least annually. But that frequency can increase depending on how often the sling is used.
Right.
And the severity of the conditions it's exposed to.
Makes sense. You're constantly putting stress on these components. So regular checkups are essential.
Yeah.
To catch any potential problems.
Absolutely.
Before they turn into accidents.
And the removal criteria are very clear-cut. Any signs of damage, like cuts, abrasion, heat damage, or deformation, that sling is out of commission.
Right.
And no exceptions.
It's like a zero-tolerance policy when it comes to safety.
Absolutely.
You don't mess around with potentially compromised equipment.
No, you don't.
And that brings us to another critical component. Eye bolts.
Eye bolts, yeah.
These seemingly simple devices can be a major safety hazard if not used correctly.
They can.
I'm seeing a lot of emphasis here on choosing the right eye bolt for the load, making sure it's properly threaded into the lifting point, and even the importance of using shims when the load is pulling at an angle.
Yeah, it all comes down to understanding how that load is distributed, and the stress points within that eye bolt. An angular load puts significantly more stress on the bolt compared to a straight inline pull.
And over-tightening an eye bolt can strip the threads.
Absolutely.
Which weakens the connection. Could lead to catastrophic failure.
Exactly. That's why using a torque wrench and following the manufacturer specifications is so important.
You got to find that sweet spot.
Yeah.
Where the bolt is secure, but not overstressed.
Exactly. It's a delicate balance, but crucial for safety.
Too loose, and the bolt could come undone. Too tight, and you risk damaging the bolt or the lifting point.
Precisely.
It's remarkable how much engineering goes into these seemingly mundane components.
It is.
Even a simple shackle has specific load limit safety factors built into its design.
Absolutely.
These sources really drive home the point that every single piece of rigging equipment, from the smallest hook to the largest crane, plays a vital role in ensuring a safe and successful operation.
It's a complex system with interconnected parts. And a weakness in any one of those parts can compromise the integrity of the whole system.
But it's not just about the equipment. It's about the people using it.
Absolutely.
Their knowledge, their skills, their judgment. It's just as critical for ensuring safety.
These manuals constantly emphasize the importance of training, experience, and good old-fashioned common sense when it comes to crane and rigging operations.
Yeah, it's a demanding field.
It is.
Requires both technical expertise and a deep understanding of safety protocols. It's not something you can just wing.
You said it.
There's a reason why certified crane operators and riggers are in such high demand. They have the knowledge and skills to get the job done safely. And efficiently.
And those skills are constantly evolving, too. As new technologies emerge, industry standards are updated. It's a field that requires continuous learning and a commitment to staying ahead of the curve.
Complacency is the enemy of safety.
Absolutely.
You can never stop learning.
No.
Never stop striving to improve your skills and knowledge.
That's right.
So what does all this mean for our listener? They've dived deep into these manuals, guides, and specs. They've learned about slings, hooks, load binders, wire rope, the importance of inspections, training, continuous improvement. What's the key takeaway here?
I think the biggest takeaway is that safety in crane and rigging operations is a multifaceted and ever-evolving challenge. It's not just about following a set of rules. It's about cultivating a culture of safety that permeates every aspect of the operation.
It's about empowering everyone involved to be proactive. To anticipate and mitigate risks, and to constantly strive for improvement.
Absolutely.
It's about creating an environment where safety is not just a priority, it's a core value.
Exactly. And while these sources provide a solid foundation of knowledge, the journey doesn't end here. Technology changes, new challenges arise. Best practices continue to evolve.
So it's about staying informed, seeking out ongoing training, and being a champion for safety in your own work environment.
Yeah, it really is. It's a continuous learning process. And as we've been going through all this material, one thing that really stands out to me is the sense of shared responsibility when it comes to crane and rigging safety.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not just about protecting yourself.
Right.
It's about looking out for everyone on that job site.
Right.
Everyone from the riggers attaching the load to the signal person guiding the crane operator.
Yeah.
They all play a crucial role.
It's like an intricate dance, right?
It is.
Where each person has to know their steps perfectly and be in sync with everyone else.
Yeah.
And just like in any good performance, communication is key.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah, these sources really emphasize the importance of clear, concise communication between everyone involved in the lift.
Right.
Misunderstandings or misinterpretations of signals can have disastrous consequences.
It's like that game of telephone we played as kids, where the message gets distorted as it's passed along.
Right.
Except in this case, the stakes are much higher.
Much higher. A
simple hand signal mixed up could lead to a dropped load or worse.
Absolutely, and that's where those training and certification programs come in. They're not just about learning how to operate the equipment. They're about instilling that sense of responsibility and building those communication skills that are so crucial for a safe operation.
Yeah, and it's not just about what happens during the lift itself. It's also about that pre-lift planning and risk assessment.
Absolutely, yeah.
You've got to carefully consider factors like the weight and shape of the load, the environmental conditions, the capabilities of the crane, any potential hazards in the area.
Yeah, it's about taking that proactive approach we talked about earlier, anticipating those potential problems and coming up with solutions before you even start the lift.
So it's not just about reacting to situations as they arise. It's about planning ahead and creating multiple layers of safety.
Yeah, and that's where experience really comes into play.
Oh, absolutely.
Those seasoned veterans, they've seen it all.
Right.
They've encountered all sorts of tricky situations and learned how to navigate them safely.
Yeah.
Their knowledge and judgment are invaluable assets on any job site.
So it's about respecting that experience and learning from those who've been there and done that. But even the more experienced professionals can't afford to become complacent.
Absolutely. The moment you think you know it all, that's when mistakes happen. Safety is an ongoing journey. A continuous pursuit of improvement.
It's about staying curious, asking questions, and never assuming you've got all the answers.
That's right.
And it's about embracing new technologies and techniques that can further enhance safety.
Right. We've already seen how things like that check-fast inspection system for slings are making a difference.
Yeah.
And there's constant innovation happening in the field.
Yeah.
From advanced crane control systems to virtual reality training simulations.
It's incredible.
It is.
So it's about staying ahead of the curve, being open to new ideas, and always looking for ways to do things better and safer.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, it all comes down to crane and rigging operations are inherently risky.
They are.
But those risks can be effectively managed with the right combination of knowledge, skills, and attitude.
Well said, yeah.
It's a powerful reminder that safety is not just a set of rules to be followed. It's a mindset.
It is.
A commitment to doing everything in our power to protect ourselves and our colleagues.
Absolutely.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listener with a challenge.
Okay.
Take what you've learned here today and apply it in your own work environment.
Yes.
Be that champion for safety.
Yeah.
That voice of reason that reminds everyone that safety is not negotiable.
It's so important.
It might be speaking up when you see something unsafe, double-checking those sling angles, or advocating for more comprehensive training programs. Every action, no matter how small, can contribute to creating a safer and more productive workplace.
I love that.
And remember, this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's a whole world of information and resources out there. For those who want to delve deeper into crane and rigging safety,
absolutely,
we encourage you to keep learning, keep exploring, and never stop striving for excellence in safety.